That's right, doesn't matter the year or era we're in, there's always more to talk about when it comes to Batman. Gonna start out giving some love to the sponsor of this video. This video is sponsored, no stranger to this channel. This video is sponsored by NordVPN. Because in this day and age, traversing the digital wonderland of the internet, it's a given, even a necessity. But doing so safely, that's not such a given. So NordVPN is a VPN service that looks to help you navigate this digital utopia or digital minefield comparatively more safely. I mean, NordVPN blocks malware-ridden websites. Like, I'm a big retro gamer. Whether you're a retro gamer or a PC gamer, sometimes finding that optimum homebrew to optimize your gaming experience will take you to websites you just don't know to get a file you've heard is safe. So I appreciate the fact that NordVPN will block the malware-ridden websites and scan downloaded files for viruses so I can just enjoy the gaming. So click the link below, go to nordvpn.com/Jung. Users can get 1 month free and an additional gift with the purchase of a 2-year plan. Risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. And thank you once again to NordVPN for sponsoring this video. I do appreciate it. And now I imagine you've come here to hear me talk about some spoilers for the Batman, so I'm gonna do that. That's a fair warning for people who might be among the uninitiated who have not seen the Batman. Also, that's me saying I'm not gonna have a play-by-play, as always, for my spoiler talks. Not gonna break down the entire movie. I mean, a lot happens in this 2-hour, 55-minute movie. That is me saying I'm not going to touch on everything. The major plot points that stand out to me, though, yeah. So as the Batman starts out, which is funny enough, I thought they were going one way, and I thought they were zigging, and they zag. Because you see this POV, and it's a super rich person's house, and you see this mom, dad, and kid, and I was like, okay, it's the Waynes. We're gonna see the Waynes again. It's not the Waynes, though. It's the Riddler's first victim. He clubs this person, which, with the tool, if you know what you're looking at, you have yourself your first Riddler clue. In a world where nothing is trivial when it comes to the Riddler. Some things may be circumstantial, but I appreciate the fact that this movie actually did what Spider-Man Homecoming did, where it's like, okay, people know the story of the dead relative, or relatives, in this case, the Waynes. We don't have to show it, they know it, let's just see Batman do stuff. Or Vengeance. His name is funny, his name is Vengeance. I mean, it's not Batman, it's Batman, because it's Batman to us. But in the movie, it's like, his name is Vengeance. We saw it in the trailer, but we didn't know he was actually saying his name.
I'm Vengeance.
Yeah, because, you know, you got vengeance, and you're Batman exacting vengeance.
No, I mean, that's my name, I'm Vengeance.
Oh, it's how people treat him. They're like, hey, Vengeance, come here. All right, that's a good call, Vengeance. All right, Vengeance, you coming? All right, Vengeance, let's do this. Why are you dressed like a bat?
This is what Vengeance looks like.
I'm just saying, you just have a V on your chest, right?
No, didn't you see the miniseries? V stands for victory. Not vengeance.
Okay, it's just getting weird now. I did like the breakdown of it showing how Bruce Wayne deals with the fact that he's been so nocturnal for the past 2 years. He has a journal, he takes notes just to keep his days in order. As someone who has always been a night owl, has continued to this day, there's no fixing this internal clock. Yep, your days do bleed together. It's actually really smart to make a journal, but I'm not going to. Because I know me. And this movie has a lot going on in it, man. Like Oswald Cobblepot as the Penguin, which Colin Farrell crushed it in this movie. And then that leads to showing Catwoman, Selena Kyle's working in his establishment to get close to Carmine Falcone, which I didn't even know he was in this movie. I didn't know Carmine Falcone was in this movie. I didn't know John Turturro played him in this movie. Both pleasant surprises, which shows that in my spoiler-free video, I was like, well, they're huge plot points I just can't talk about. So that's why I do videos like this. I thought John Turturro was great. I thought the execution of having him in this movie was great too. He didn't feel like Carmine Falcone from Batman Begins. It was actually very much in line with Long Halloween. It's great to have the same character, but not feel redundant. It's definitely its own thing. Talented filmmaking right there. A lot of characters in this movie that were amazing. And Robert Pattinson was good in the movie too. I have some things to say about the rendition of Batman in this movie, this version of Batman, how it didn't fully feel like Batman for me.
Take it easy, sweetheart.
Not saying Robert Pattinson's bad in it. The best I can say it is Batman in this movie feels so different from any other on-screen Batman I've seen. In a world that does feel in line with Batman. You look at Gotham in this movie. Best rendition of Gotham I've seen on screen. But that felt like Gotham. Oswald Cobblepot felt like Penguin. Selena Kyle felt like Catwoman. Batman felt like what they did with Heath Ledger's Joker. And actually, it's the same argument. I've seen people like, Heath Ledger was great in the movie, but they don't dig that version of Joker because it doesn't feel like Joker to them. It doesn't feel like comic book Joker. It feels like a version of the Joker that was made to feel like a guy in the real world was just sick in the head, painted his face He was a mass murderer. A Joker that we could see in the world, sans the comic book element. Or it might be more apt to compare this execution to Joaquin Phoenix's Joker, which was even more of a reimagining of the Joker character. And that's what Batman specifically in this movie feels like. It feels like what it would look like if you turned on the news and saw a guy running around in a mask and a cape running down alleyways. You'd be like, is that guy trying to be Batman?
No, Dick, I'm vengeance.
It felt very much in line with that, which is a really bold move. I'll say that. It's a big swing to take. A Batman that doesn't feel like this mythical Batman, feels like a person who just put on a costume and was like, I'm gonna fight crime. That point was really hammered home in the movie when he glided through the airs. You know, like I like seeing Batman with his cape and he's all gliding. No, not this Batman, not Vengeance. He has a legit flying squirrel wingsuit. I mean, that is how he glides through the air. It does grow on you as a call they made in this movie. We're like, okay, they're taking it a new direction. And if they spend a trilogy getting him to feel like this mythical Batman, I'm totally down. Because I thought the world was amazing and they just spent a trilogy getting Spider-Man to feel like Spider-Man. So, you know, that's kind of, it's a thing nowadays. But I suppose I found some connection in my head. When I thought of that, you remember that Mortal Kombat reboot? Or Mortal Kombat reimagining? Or short film back in 2011? Time flies. Where Reptile was a cannibal with a skin condition. Baraka was a plastic surgeon who put blades on his forearms. That was Mortal Kombat that took Mortal Kombat characters and it was like, okay, let's say they were real in still kind of unrealistic ways, but we'll take all the magic and shit out of it and just make them people with skin diseases and plastic surgeons who are crazy. Kind of had a eureka moment when I made that connection between these two properties, Mortal Kombat Rebirth and the Batman, and how really they aim to do the same thing, and I enjoyed it when I saw it in Mortal Kombat. In fact, you look at the Riddler is in the same way that reimagining of what would the Riddler be if he was actually in the world. There's a part of me that was like, I could go for Riddler being 20% less eccentric. I don't know where I got that arbitrary ass number. I'm just saying a little less, because I like collected Riddler, but if someone was crazy enough to be Riddler, he would probably be as unstable as Riddler in this movie is. It's funny because I feel like he wasn't unmasked, he wasn't caught until much later in the movie, probably comparatively, because it was like 2 hours into the movie, but that still means we have about an hour left of the movie. I don't even know if that time frame is, not like I was checking my watch, which is a good sign. But Riddler's plan in this movie is to basically peel back and expose the corrupt bullshit behind the facade of the people in power. And that's where I come into conflict with the concept of this Riddler being a Riddler, but if he was in the real world, our world. Because in our world, we wouldn't need the Riddler. You just let politicians and people in power keep talking, and their bullshit just ends up showing itself. So no Riddler needed, but I can get behind. That's what makes the villain great, is you can get behind the idea of exposing lies and corruption. But he's going about it all the wrong ways, including murder and mass murder shootout at the end of the movie. There were some scenes in this movie, like this movie from the trailer, it was like, oh, it looks like Seven with Batman. Then they get in the Riddler's place, and I was like, this is like straight up from Seven. I do wish I had seen more Andy Serkis as Alfred, and you can make the argument, well, you've seen Alfred and Bruce Wayne in movies before. We get the relationship, but not this Alfred and Bruce Wayne. You're looking at Michael Caine, he was the butler, he cared for this kid, and then that kid became a man who left, trained with ninjas, came back, and then Alfred met him at the airport. And he had his back until the end where he was like, I failed you. I failed you. This Alfred trained Bruce Wayne to fight. He actually trained him to be Batman. I will say, since Alfred felt like he was kind of in the background in this movie, he didn't feel like a main support character. That lack of screen time caused me to think when Alfred got blown up, I thought he might have actually died. Can't say I've experienced that in another Batman movie. I thought, well, this whole new direction, and you know, it's a whole new take on Batman. Alfred could die. And when Bruce Wayne gets to the hospital and he's told it's touch and go, and we're hoping he pulls through, I'm like, okay, Alfred will be fine. But it wasn't like in Batman Arkham Origins where you're supposed to believe Alfred might be in peril, maybe he'll die, and it never crosses your mind, not for a second, because you're like, this is a prequel to Arkham Asylum and Arkham City, and he is alive in there, so he's gonna be fine. No, as much as I wanted to see more Alfred, and I wanted more of that connection between Alfred and Bruce Wayne and this dynamic for this take on them, it did lead to me being like, Alfred might have died. I've never felt that before, ever. So going to the end of this movie, the Riddler has this plan that actually mostly comes to happen. It gets down to the wire here. Batman finds out too little too late Riddler's plan because he doesn't know what that thing is that lays carpet down and puts it under the wall. And And obviously neither do I, so I guess Gotham would be fucked if I was a protector. People be on YouTube videos like, he doesn't fully feel like Batman. Feels like a YouTuber dressed up like Batman. So these detonations go off in these key parts of Gotham, which makes the harbor just come in and flood Gotham. And then the Riddler on his super dark web chat room has gotten a lot of friends that all dress up like him, and they're up there with sniper rifles and just gonna start popping shots. Which I was like, oh, okay. So there's gonna be some hard blue checkmark rage about this. I mean, there should be if there's consistency. Remember when Twitter thought that there's going to be some mass shootings in movie theaters because Joker was a movie? And it didn't happen. Now there's a Batman movie with an actual mass shooting. I suppose if there's not blue checkmark outrage, I'll give them props for chilling out over the course of the past couple years. I'm just saying though, if consistency is consistent, and it never is on Twitter. Long story short, Batman saves the day. It doesn't change the fact that Gotham got really fucked with a lot of water. I do hope in the next movie, Zoe Kravitz comes back as Selena Kyle, because I thought she was great in the movie. I mean, I don't know if she has a reason for her to come back, but I hope she does come back. Selena Kyle doesn't always have to be Catwoman because of the Carmine Falcone thing. There were many decades where she did her Catwoman thing not because of that. So we'll see what happens. Oh yeah, at the end, the very end. Riddler's captured, he's in his cell, and then you hear someone chattering in the next cell at him, and it's clearly Joker. But not like Joker or Joker, new Joker. We have ourselves another Joker that's gonna happen. Which I'm not really sold on another Joker right now. It's probably the execution of it, you know? It's just like, oh hey, Joker, and it's this other person, it's like, oh, I guess they're bringing Joker in again. And I enjoy things like that being events where it's like, oh, Joaquin Phoenix is Joker, and it's a big deal, and it's this big thing that's happening, and you're leading up to it because it's the fucking Joker. Heath Ledger being cast as Joker was a huge part of the buildup of The Dark Knight. You know, Joker, I get why they're having Joker in this world so soon, because the movie Joker, which isn't this Joker, but is still the character, is the highest grossing rated R film of all time. Well, I'm of a different mindset from studios, you know? I enjoy such things being events. It's the lack of having that thing so often, you know? The years in between those moments where we have a new Joker that makes Joker special. But Hollywood studios have a very different mindset. They're like, oh, that movie made a lot of money, sweet. Here's all the Joker stuff. And that's what they're gonna do. That's what they did with Star Wars, you know? Star Wars used to be this thing that was just like, oh, every 3 years or so we get a Star Wars movie. And then it was like every year you have your Star Wars movie. Just kind of like, oh, okay, new Star Wars is happening. I know. It ceases to be special. It looks like they're gonna do that with Joker. Different studio, same Hollywood bubble, so it's gonna happen the same way. And for nothing else, this kind of Joker cameo reminded me of the Harley Quinn cameo in Arrow, where it's like they were doing Suicide Squad in Arrow. I think it was season 2, otherwise known as back when Arrow was really good. It was Harley Quinn's silhouette behind a door, and Amanda Waller hits the door. And that's all you get. It kind of reminded me of that, which worked for Arrow in that made-for-TV kind of way, in a TV show kind of way. But this feeling like a TV show thing just didn't really land with me. But in the end, the Batman it's gonna range like this for you. You're either gonna like it or love it. I can't see a lot of people hating the movie, you know, to hate it, be like, oh, it sucks. I mean, some will, but that's not gonna be most of the conversation. Most of the conversation is gonna be like, okay, so that movie that was good. Let's talk about that. All right, so the Batman, now that it's out, have you seen it? What did you think about it? And how did you like the portrayal of Batman, the character, in this movie? Did he feel like Batman to you? Did he not? Are you cool with it? It's a conversation. Whatever you think, comment below, let me know. And as always, if you like what you've seen here and you want to see more, click right here to see more.